I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Yes, I definitely will. Does this have your...
Yeah, I'm the owner, so you can talk to me if you have a problem.
Okay, yeah, and I'll definitely be... Do you have a higher up? Do you have anything else?
No, I'm the owner of the company.
Okay, well, that was very rude how she definitely
It literally says, do not pet on every single dog's
You should have a sign, number one.
There is like 4 signs.
You should say...
There are 4 signs on my leash alone.
No. She should say, sorry, these dogs are...
The answer is no.
The dogs are in training. Sorry. That could have been nicer. She could have approached it nicer.
You asked the question, can I pet the dog? And she said no.
She should have said that they were in training.
You can walk away now.
I don't know you anything.
Bye.
I didn't ask you. I did not ask you.
You
came over.
to pet the dog.
You are recording without my consent.
Absolutely.
You are absolutely.
It's legal.
It is not legal.
It is.
Illegal.
Okay, call the cops.
Call the cops.
Call my lawyer right now.
Because it's illegal to harass service dogs.
It's a misdemeanor to harass and interact with service dogs.
And you can stop recording. Thank you very much. Hello.
Have a good night.
It's illegal to record without somebody's permission. Okay? Learn respect.
A heated argument over a service dog inside a local restaurant could lead to a civil rights lawsuit.
The confrontation happened at Jim's Seafood in Frankfort. Kristen Edwards explains what happened and what all business owners need to know about the laws for service animals in this LEX 18 Investigates.
I'll have your server collect your food and we'll go in this other room.
It's a confrontation Susanna Benassi never expected.
I felt like I wasn't being listened to, that my need for him didn't really matter, that it wasn't important. Let's go this way.
On May 7th, she says she was discriminated against at Jim's Seafood in Frankfort. She was there with her husband and service dog Dobby for dinner when she says she was asked to move tables after she had been served food. In a video she recorded, you can hear someone explain that Dobby is too close to the kitchen and that it's a violation of local health department rules. Benassi responds, saying asking her to move is a violation of her rights under the American Disabilities Act, and so is asking for paperwork for a service dog.
Do you have paperwork and all of that?
I was very stressed, but I was just trying to make sure that I remained calm because I really didn't want to escalate the situation. I wanted to be able to tell her what the law was and then hopefully be able to continue with our meal. Because I do have issues occasionally with people not knowing the law.
And the law, according to ADA.gov, says people with disabilities can go into businesses that serve the public with a service dog. Benassi says this law couldn't be more important to her.
Oh, that was an alert. Good job.
That's because she has a disorder called functional neurological disorder. In a nutshell, she says her brain doesn't communicate well with her body when under stress.
You could have any kinds of symptoms. Some of my most common ones are dizziness, trouble hearing, trouble seeing, paralysis. It's temporary paralysis.
Diagnosed in 2012, it ruled her life for years. Then, she got Dobby 4 years ago to help her manage the disorder.
My mom doesn't worry about me as much. And my husband too. I have a lot more independence.
Dobby keeps her calm to prevent episodes from happening.
If I'm having a bad week, I might have a couple in a week, but it used to be I would have 10 in a day.
He also helps her if one comes on.
He actually caught me from falling on concrete one time. He got my head.
And during our interview, we saw Dobby in action.
He alerted and now he's doing the pressure. Good job, thank you. It's something called deep pressure therapy. It's like a grounding technique. It's similar to like a weighted blanket that people can use. It has a similar effect.
She says she can't live without him, so that's why they were together at Jim's Seafood that day when she refused to move tables.
For viewers who are watching us who may think to themselves, why not just go into the other room? What do you have to say to them?
It makes you feel like you're not as important as other people. It really does.
Eventually, she gets up to leave when you can hear someone explain further about why she was asked to move.
If they have a dog allergy, they don't want to be walking by your dog.
A dog allergy?
We'll get to more on that in a minute. After the incident, Benassi hired a lawyer who says the law is on their side.
And she's allowed to be there, and so we have the ADA for a reason, and this is the prime example of that.
We also asked an independent legal expert about what the ADA says. Professor Laura Rothstein at the University of Louisville has been teaching and writing about disability discrimination law for about 40 years. She says under the ADA, there are regulations that spell out what is allowed. They say a service animal, which is usually a dog, must be trained to do work or perform a task for a person with a disability. She adds they don't need to be formally trained or have documentation. She says they are allowed in public accommodations like restaurants, bars, hotels, and theaters, with some caveats.
The person bringing the dog has to have that dog under control. The dog can't be loud or disruptive or biting. It can't be an obstruction.
As for allergies, ADA.gov says allergies and fear of dogs are not valid reasons for denying access or refusing service. In terms of asking someone to move because of allergies, Rothstein says the business and person with a service dog should work together on a solution.
And I would say it should be negotiated kind of on a common sense basis. I would just say that's not going to come up that often, but it's a legitimate concern.
She also says there are only 2 questions a business can ask.
Do you have a disability for which the dog provides a service? And if the person says yes, but you can't ask what the disability is, but if the individual with the dog says yes, you can then ask what task is it trained to perform? And then the person has to be able to answer that.
Beyond that, no other questions can be asked. She also says people with disabilities cannot be asked to move away from others unless there's a legitimate concern about danger or disruption or other harm.
They're not supposed to be separated from everyone else unless there's some compelling reason, some safety reason to do that.
She didn't want to comment on Benassi's case, but in the video, the restaurant raised questions of safety, having Dobby too close to the kitchen. So we asked the Franklin County Health Department whether that was a violation. In an email, the public health director wrote, "Our understanding of ADA is that the only exception to a service animal being at a particular seat, whether or not near the kitchen, is if the animal creates a hazard by impeding a walkway for other customers or staff. Service animals are also not allowed on tables or in chairs at restaurants." Benassi said Dobby was not in a walkway. We went to Jim's Seafood to get their perspective on what happened. The manager told us to contact their lawyer, who told us no comment. Benassi and her lawyer are discussing how they would like to move forward.
Your puppy.
In the meantime, she wants to spread awareness. And according to the Kentucky Protection and Advocacy Division, which is an independent state agency, overall awareness about disability discrimination law is needed since similar situations are relatively common. Over the past 8 months, they've represented 215 people in disability discrimination cases. 1 involved a service dog, and they offered legal advice to 3 others involving service dogs. They also say to keep in mind that these are only the cases that they take on. There are likely many more instances of possible discrimination, including those that go unreported.
I don't want this to happen to anybody else. I want people to be able to go and enjoy a dinner and feel just as important as able-bodied people.
Kristen Edwards.
Good job.
LEX 18 News.
Kalamazoo Public Schools, once again the target of another legal matter. A senior at Kalamazoo Central High School has filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education, claiming that the district administrators did nothing after she and her service dog were bullied.
News 8's David Horak joins us live from our Kalamazoo studio after speaking with her and her mother. David? Emily and Brian, Alyssa Douglas, a senior at Kalamazoo Central, was diagnosed in fall of 2021 with dyslexia, as well as high anxiety and depression. She relies on her owner-trained service dog, Moxie, a German Shepherd mix. And from the day she met him, Alyssa says he has been a lifesaver.
We spent like 5 minutes with them, and I'm like, yep, there was something that just clicked. And he has been amazing since.
While studying at Kalamazoo Central, Alyssa says Moxie helps her curb panic attacks and calm an overwhelming mind.
Oxygen levels just plummeted, and my heart rate skyrocketed. I don't have it on today. I keep forgetting to charge it. I usually have like a little Apple Watch on there, and it hits around 180 so often, and I noticed, I'm like, wow, that's not normal. But he helps me a lot with that. He's very in tune with my emotions, so if I'm stressed, he lets me know.
But on October 10th of last year, both of them were more than overwhelmed when a group of boys at her school would not stop harassing them.
He was just laying there against the lockers, so not in the middle of the hallway or anything, and a student ran up and jumped in the air with both feet and landed on his tail, and since the way he was curled up, it was inches away from his neck.
She filed a report with the assistant principal in charge of security, but instead of disciplining the students, she says they ultimately chose to have her and Moxie eat lunch in the office without visitors on claims of security concerns.
That makes me feel like I'm the problem. And it was very upsetting to hear that coming from an upper level administrator telling me we're not going to do anything. Sucks to suck.
Her family filed an ADA and Rehabilitation Act of 1973 complaint against Kalamazoo Public Schools with the U.S. Department of Education.
I think it speaks to the culture of the school system, and I think it needs to be addressed on a systemic level.
I have a disability that requires special accommodations, but I'm not disabled enough for their standards to get something that I don't need necessarily, because I don't need an individual education plan. I just need the basics, and they can't even provide the basics. And just help them understand what they're doing is wrong.
A U.S. Department of Ed spokesperson told us that they cannot comment on pending investigations, and we have yet to hear back from Kalamazoo Public Schools. We're live in our Kalamazoo studio. David Horak, News 8. Brian.
Caught on camera, a tense exchange on January 25th inside a classroom at George Washington University.
How am I creating a liability? Tell me. Because I have a service dog here?
To submit
he has paperwork. He has.
Third-year business student Liza Malinsky and her service dog were kicked out of class.
You are discriminating, plain and simple. American Disabilities Act of 1990. Do you want me to look it up for you?
Malinsky posted the video to Instagram just days after GW police escorted her out of the classroom.
It's a little triggering to watch for me over and over again. I kind of just posted it and didn't listen to it, and I was being exposed in front of my peers and humiliated.
We caught up with her outside of campus.
This is Charlie. He is my service dog, and he's a 3-year-old American Pit Bull.
Malinsky sent Charlie to training soon after she adopted him at age 1. He helps her cope with her extreme anxiety.
As soon as I was removed from the classroom and I started having an anxiety attack, he immediately started alerting to me. He laid across me and my feet. And he was able to calm me down.
To submit.
Remember when the professor said Malinsky needed paperwork? She was wrong. According to GW's policy on service animals, quote, a student is not required to submit an accommodation request to bring a service animal into a university building.
When she started calling us a liability, she was mentioning that because he was a pit bull, that he was putting other students at risk.
Malinsky says this is the second time the same professor kicked her out of class, but this time, she apologized. Malinsky shared this email sent by the professor, who says she is committed to learning from this experience. A GW spokesperson told WUSA 9 the university is committed to maintaining a non-discriminatory, harassment-free environment, that they're working with the professors and, quote, will remain involved to ensure that GW students have an inclusive classroom experience. Malinsky says only actions, not apologies, can fix this.
Liza hopes by sharing her story, she'll encourage others to advocate for their own rights. In Northwest, Delia Gonsalves, WUSA 9.
We know that service dogs have really changed so many people's lives, which makes this next story
all the more complicated.
Yeah, high school in New Jersey has for more than a year denied a student bringing his psychiatrist-prescribed service dog onto campus. Other schools allow it, and now it has become quite a controversy.
As for the school, it says what it's doing is legal. New Jersey reporter Tony Yates with the story. She's live at the high school in the Monmouth County town of Manalapan. Tony.
Well, Bill and Liz, Justin Foreman is a 17-year-old who, during his childhood, suffered some traumas that no child should ever have to endure. He is on his road to recovery, though, but his family is saying that not being allowed to take his service dog to school with him is set him back.
The dog can't sit in the Board of Ed meeting, but you absolutely can.
This is how Justin and his service dog Dreyfus were treated as he and his parents tried to enter a Freehold Regional School District board meeting.
I'm not doing this with you. You're a child, but I'm not a child.
Blocked from the meeting, they have been fighting to try to get his service dog Dreyfus allowed to go to school with Justin at Manalapan High School under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
We're denied entrance. We weren't removed.
Justin is on several medications and under the care of a psychiatrist after suffering emotional and physical abuse.
Justin was diagnosed with PTSD. He actually has spent time inpatient or partial hospitalizations because he had thoughts to hurt himself.
Good boy. Serious harm.
He's taken off his nails before, and he's not doing it because he likes the pain. He's doing it because he's anxious.
The family synagogue raised the nearly $9,000 to purchase Dreyfus from an organization out west that trains and offers service dogs.
I could tell him to sit in front of me if I need more space, if there's a big crowd.
His anxiety has hit a point where staying up all night and crying and having nightmares or just not being able to sleep at all.
That's when Dreyfus jumps into bed to calm him down. The school district's attorney responded to our request for a statement in denying Dreyfus inside the school, quoting the ADA that emotional support, therapy, comfort, or companion animals are not considered service animals, saying in this instance, as in prior instances, the district followed its process to evaluate the request for a service animal accommodation. But where anxiety attacks are concerned, the ADA's website also says if the dog has been trained to sense that an anxiety attack is about to happen and can take a specific action to help avoid the attack or lessen its impact, that would qualify as a service animal. Right now, Justin can't tolerate a school day without Dreyfus.
The last time I was at school was probably around 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And Justin says he really wants to get back to school because he does miss his friends. The other thing that the family says is that Dreyfus is allowed every place else that Justin goes under the ADA Act. Of course, all of this is under litigation. And a final footnote, the family does have another dog that is their pet.
We all know bullies can be cruel, but a Watertown High School student says some of her classmates don't just pick on her, they even attack her service dog.
Channel 3's Roger Suzanne is joining us now with a story you'll only see right here on Eyewitness News. Roger.
Mark and Aaron, this is really incredible. This high school sophomore tells us that her service dog helps her get through the day normally, but lately he's become the target of ridicule and even threats at the high school.
Sit.
I love you.
15-year-old Emily Hurley and her Australian Shepherd Grady are best buddies.
There's so much stuff I love about this dog.
But Emily's bond with Grady goes far beyond the normal owner-pet relationship.
He has just helped me through a lot that's been going on in my life.
You see, Grady is a specially trained service dog.
Go get them. Bring him here. Good boy.
And he helps Emily, who deals with severe psychiatric problems every single day. Emily's mom, April, says the pooch has made a huge difference.
I think it's kind of given her something to focus on other than what's negative in her life.
Stay. Come. Good boy.
Grady has been roaming the halls of Watertown High School with Emily, but it hasn't always been easy.
People look at me and say, oh, you don't have a disability. There's nothing wrong with you. Why do you need a service dog?
And in the past few months, Emily, who was a sophomore, says some students have even started threatening Grady.
People have been saying that they want to kick him and beat him, and people have been saying they've wanted to kill him. People have threatened to rape him, and it's a lot for me to handle.
Emily has reported the threats to school administrators, and the Hurleys were told some students have been disciplined. But Emily says the nasty comments keep coming, and April hopes the district takes more severe action to stop them.
There has to be a better way. If what you're doing isn't working, then you need to fix it.
Can I kiss? Thank you.
But until and unless that happens, Emily and Grady will only spend time together before and after school. Emily stopped taking Grady to her classes this week. She's afraid that the dog who made her life a little brighter isn't safe at her school.
It has made me very upset to the point where I will have a breakdown because I don't want anybody to hurt him. He's like my best friend.
Now, Watertown Superintendent Rydell Harrison sent us this statement regarding this situation. He writes, "Our district is currently investigating the concerns that have been raised over the course of the school year. Our high school administrators have been working closely with the student and her family to ensure the student's concerns are addressed." Now, by the way, Emily tells us that this past week was very difficult at school without Grady, but she still wants to speak out to hopefully make others show more compassion to service dogs as well as the people who benefit from them. Roger Suzanne, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
It was a freak-out scene across America.
It's disgusting to have an animal inside of a public restaurant.
Ciara Miller went nuts when she saw a service dog in a restaurant where she was eating dinner. The dog belonged to an Army vet who suffers from PTSD.
He's alive because he fought for our country. Congratulations! My husband, Dad, fought for the country. So did he. That's why he has a dog. So what? It's still nasty to me.
Miller was widely slammed for being insensitive. But today, in an Inside Edition exclusive, she's defending herself.
I don't have any regrets because I feel like I reacted based on how I was treated.
Ciara Miller says the video doesn't tell the whole story. She claims that some restaurant employees and customers were yelling at her, and that's why she got so loud.
6 or 7 other people would just start jumping in and just start going back and forth and coming at me, making derogatory statements, racial slurs.
Let's be honest, I mean, this is a service dog that you're complaining about, and so it just doesn't look good on you.
This wasn't ever even about the dog per se or the veteran himself. You know, when his wife approached me, she made it about that. You know, I was simply walking out the door because I couldn't eat in front of animals.
It doesn't sound like you're very understanding of this service dog and the needs that this vet has.
That's 100% incorrect. I have an uncle that was in the military who suffered from PTSD, so I'm very aware of, you know, service dogs and their position and what their rights and what they're allowed.
The veteran is retired Master Sergeant Bill Austin, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was at the Delaware seafood restaurant with his wife Janet and friends and his service dog JP. Were there any racial slurs thrown? She still insists that was the case.
No, that's one thing that I don't like is the allegations that we used racial slurs. I don't think that's fair. And I really hope that something positive comes out of this. Number one and foremost, even when we get angry, we should still try to treat people with respect.
I think it's gross.
Started on board a plane
Stop, please.
and then got really heated after it spilled into the terminal. At the center of it all, this service dog, a Great Dane. The drama began on board the Frontier Airlines flight from Colorado Springs to Orlando. As everyone waited to get off, this deaf passenger accused another passenger of punching his service dog. His fiancée, who is 5 months pregnant, is also deaf. The tension continued on the jetway as the passengers disembarked. A Frontier Airlines gate agent intervened.
Would you cut it out, sir? Would you stop it?
He's blocking the way.
The deaf couple appeared to be blocking the exit from the jetway. Then the passengers were allowed into the terminal, and that's when all hell broke loose. The guy with the backpack is the passenger who allegedly hit the Great Dane on the plane. Now both sides are speaking out to Inside Edition.
He jumped me.
Tim Manley says he never punched the dog. He says he was concerned the Great Dane might have aggravated his wife's allergies.
The dog came over to me and I pushed it away. Okay, I swatted it away from me. I wanted to make the dog very sure that I didn't want it in our space.
Manley says he's a dog lover and regrets being rough with the animal.
I already did apologize to them, but it wasn't accepted.
But the deaf passenger, Matthew Silve, says Manley punched the dog as well as his fiancée. We spoke to the couple with a sign language interpreter. Matthew, can you tell me what this passenger on the plane did to your dog?
I looked back and I felt this bang, and I looked down and he had his hand with a fist, and my dog was looking up, and he had just punched my dog.
Matt's fiancée, Hazel Ramirez, tells me how she allegedly got hit.
I was standing right by where the gate is, where you come in, and I was walking, and his hand punched me right in the stomach, touched me right in the stomach, and I fell back.
Matthew, people looking at that video would say that you were the aggressor here.
No, I think I was just upset. I was upset. And I was upset about my dog. I felt like it was disrespectful to my dog, and I was standing up for my dog.
The passenger also denies punching the pregnant woman during the incident, which is now being investigated by the FBI.